You're not broke because you don't make enough money. You might be making more than your parents ever did, more than your friends, maybe more than you ever thought you'd make at this age. And yet, at the end of every month, there's somehow nothing left. No emergency fund, no investments, no savings buffer, just a number that resets to zero, or worse, goes negative. And you tell yourself next month will be different. It won't be. Not until you understand what's actually happening, because the reason most people are broke isn't a math problem. It's a system problem. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what that system looks like and how to break out of it. Here's the first thing I need you to understand. A raise is not a solution. I know that sounds backwards. We're told our whole lives that if we just made more money, everything would be fine. So we hustle for the promotion. We take on extra work. We grind. And then the raise comes, and within 3 to 4 months, we've absorbed it. The lifestyle expands to fill whatever comes in. New subscriptions, a nicer car, better restaurants, slightly more expensive habits that all feel totally justified. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. I call it the silent wealth killer. Because here's what the math actually looks like. You earn $5,000 a month. You spend $5,000 a month. You save nothing. You get a raise. Now you earn $6,500 a month. 6 months later, you're spending $6,500 a month. You still save nothing. The income went up. The wealth didn't. And the cycle continues. This is why there are people making six figures who are one missed paycheck away from financial disaster. Income and wealth are not the same thing. And until you internalize that, the amount you make almost doesn't matter. So if the problem isn't how much you make, then what is it? In my experience, most people have 3 invisible drains quietly bleeding their money every single month. And the reason they're invisible is that none of them feel like a big deal on their own. Drain number 1, subscriptions and forgotten recurring charges. Go open your bank statement right now. Scroll through it. Count every single recurring charge. Streaming services, apps, memberships, software, gym you haven't been to since February. The average person is paying for services they've completely forgotten about. And because these charges are small, $9.99 here, $14.99 there. The brain doesn't register them as a threat, but $9.99 times 12 is $120 a year. And most people have 6 to 10 subscriptions they barely use. That's easily $500 to $1,000 a year going nowhere. That's not a small number. That's a month of groceries. That's a flight. That's the start of an emergency fund. Drain number 2, convenience spending. This one is subtle, and it's getting worse. Delivery fees, Uber instead of driving, grabbing food instead of cooking, paying for the premium version because the free version has an ad, buying something new instead of fixing what you have. Individually, these decisions are totally reasonable. Sometimes they make sense, but if they're happening every day, multiple times a day, they become a pattern that costs you thousands of dollars a year without you ever feeling like you spent it, because you didn't spend it all at once. You spend it $12 at a time. Drain number 3, emotional spending. This is the hardest one to talk about, so I'm going to be direct. A lot of us spend money to feel better, not because we need something, but because we're stressed, bored, lonely, anxious, or just trying to reward ourselves for surviving another week. Retail therapy is real, and the dopamine hit from buying something feels good for about 20 minutes. Then the package arrives, you barely look at it, and the feeling that made you buy it in the first place is still there. Emotional spending doesn't fix the emotion, it just defers it and charges you interest. All right, so now that we've diagnosed the problem, let's talk about what to actually do about it. I'm not going to tell you to track every single dollar you spend. Most people can't sustain that. It feels like being on a diet where you count every calorie. Exhausting unsustainable, and demoralizing. Instead, I want to give you a framework, a simple structure that handles most of the decisions automatically, so you don't have to white-knuckle your spending every day. It's called the Pay Yourself First model, and it works like this. Step 1, set your savings rate before you do anything else. The moment money hits your account, a percentage leaves immediately, automatically, before you can spend it, not whatever's left at the end of the month. First, even if it's 10% right now, even if it's 5, the amount matters less than the habit. You're training yourself to live on what remains. What's left after savings and fixed costs is what you actually have to work with. Not a rough idea, a real number. And once that number is spent for the month, it's gone. That's the whole system. 3 steps. Save first. Cover necessities. Spend the rest intentionally. It's simple. But simple is what works when life gets complicated. Most financial advice assumes you just don't know what to do. But you probably do know. You know you should save. You know you should spend less than you earn. You know the basics, so why isn't it happening? Because money is emotional before it's mathematical. The way we spend is tied to how we feel about ourselves, our sense of worth, our need for comfort, our fear of missing out, our desire to seem okay to ourselves and to other people. Until you address that part, no budget is going to stick, not for long. So here's what I want you to do. Just once, this week, think about the last 3 purchases you made that you didn't need, not to shame yourself, just to understand the emotion that drove each one. Were you stressed? Bored? Trying to feel in control? Celebrating? Numbing out? Because when you know why you spend, you can actually make a different choice next time. Not through willpower, through awareness. Let me show you something that might change the way you think about this forever. Let's say you're spending an extra $300 a month on things you don't actually need. That's $10 a day. Coffee, delivery fees, impulse buys, whatever it is. If instead, you invested that $300 a month into an index fund starting at age 25, with an average annual return of 8%, by the time you're 55, that money grows to roughly $440,000 from $10 a day. That's not a trick. That's compound interest. And the brutal truth is that every dollar you spend on nothing is a dollar that could have worked for you for decades. I'm not saying don't spend money on things you enjoy. That's not the point. The point is, know the cost of the choice. Know what you're trading. Because right now, most people are trading their future financial freedom for short-term comfort they barely remember a week later. Look, I'm not going to pretend this is easy. If it were easy, everyone would already be doing it. But I want you to walk away from this video with one thing: clarity. Clarity that the reason you feel broke has nothing to do with your intelligence or your worth. It's a system, and systems can be changed. Start with one thing this week. Just one. Cancel one subscription you forgot you had. Move $50 into a savings account before you spend anything else. Sit with one emotional purchase and ask yourself why. One thing. That's it. If this video helped you think about money differently, drop a comment below. Money doesn't have to be complicated. See you in the next one.